Let's begin perhaps talking about the conditions that you guys are faced with in this industry, where we know things have been difficult and for some companies the worst conditions they've ever seen. Would that be accurate for Iliad?
Yes, it's been probably the most challenging year we've had since listing in 1998, Godfrey. With the macroeconomic environment slowing down towards the end of 2008, it clearly had a significant impact on the residential and of late to an extent to the non-residential market as well, which affects the supply of building materials.
Let's talk about the particular sectors that suffered the most, because I have you here from your statement from yesterday talking about the buildings materials division, and in particular you are talking about the ceramics and the wholesale hinges and lighting clusters. Why did those suffer particularly?
Yes, I think correctly so. You point out that our general building materials division performed in line with market trends, but the specialized division, which specializes in the finishing end of the industry, was most severely affected. Ceramics, it was a challenging year for us. Turnovers came under pressure, whereas on the wholesale side of the business, our customers have reassessed their order intents and also managed their stock levels down, and that impacted on the business.
Were there any shining stars out of this?
There was. Within specialized, pleasingly, the ironmongery cluster had a sterling performance, and also our equipment hire cluster, named B1, under the circumstances, and with its exposure to the infrastructure market, performed well.
Let's talk about what you did to try and mitigate the effects of the recession and mitigate your customers not coming to your shops as often as they should have been doing. You have been attempting to take out costs out of the business. How successful has that been, and how much have you been able to get out?
Yes, we set ourselves a target, an annualized target of 60 million. We went through the exercise towards the third quarter in the prior calendar year. We have completed the exercise and we have achieved our objectives. And we've looked at the entire expense base, but there was focus on employee costs and motor vehicle expenses.
So the business is right-sized to grow into 2010?
Yeah, we believe when the growth returns to the industry, hopefully towards the end of the year, that the platform is there for us to get positive leverage. Further to this, we've always been a very strong cash generative business. Our balance sheet is very strong, so that will put us in a position to take advantage of opportunities to grow when they arise.
When you look at the current conditions that are in the economy, are you optimistic? The numbers that we've been seeing are suggesting that there is some kind of recovery underway in the South African economy. And we saw GDP for the last 3 months of the year up 3.2%, which surprised a number of people. We've also been seeing manufacturing ticking up. Retail sales are beginning again to recover, though still in contraction mode. Are there signs for you that things are beginning to turn around?
Yeah, clearly in the macroeconomic environment, there's some positive signs. There is, if you go back in history, there's a lag between the recovery in the macroeconomic environment and our industry. As people get more confidence, they need to access finance, lending through finance institutions, and that is also a key factor. We know that financing institutions have been quite conservative. But further to this, that should lead to an increase of plans submitted to be approved that will lead to some development.
You know, when we talk about South Africa this year, of course, you cannot talk about South Africa without talking about 2010 and the FIFA World Cup and therefore. Have you already had your benefit, or is it still to come?
Yes, in certain areas of the business, we've been privileged to participate in the spend in that area. We are not as a group hugely exposed to infrastructure, but for example, in ironmongery, I'm pleased to say that our products would be available for all to see in the various stadiums around the country.
If I were to put a thermometer on your tongue and say, would you say you're optimistic, you're not less optimistic, you are hopeful? Where would you classify where you stand right now in terms of the prospects for the business and for the economy going forward?
We remain positive and confident that when the growth returns to the industry in due course, that we are well positioned to leverage off that and post improvements in our profitability.